Good evening. This is Gray 1951. I'm here to share a glass of wine with you and try to introduce a little topic for a possible discussion. Now, we used to do a weekly chat. Some of us in the little movie community, the DVD collecting community, we were doing a weekly chat for quite a long time. And I guess a couple of years ago, maybe we just ran out of ideas or people got tired. I'm not sure why, but so I don't know if I'm trying to get that all started again, but I just had a question I'd like to present to you, and if anybody would like to respond by making a response video or just writing something down below after you watch this, please do. So here's the question I'd like to present to you, and that is, how many of you have gone to a theater to see a movie and put down good money with all great expectations of seeing a good show, and then ended up walking out before it was over? Not because you weren't feeling well or because you had a sudden emergency, but because there was something about the film that you just didn't like, it was offensive, or you were bored out of your skull and you thought you'd rather be doing anything than sitting here watching the rest of the film. So, how many of you had that experience? And the reason why this is in my mind right now is because this happened to me just 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago on a Saturday night, I went to one of my local theaters that shows retrospective films quite often. And in fact, we're very lucky. We have two theaters that do that. So I have a chance to see a lot of old movies. And I try to go to as many of them as I possibly can. Well, this particular weekend, they were showing a comedy from 1963 called "It's a Mad, 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 Mad World," which I'm sure a lot of you, if you haven't seen it, I'm sure you've at least heard of it because it was a very popular, very successful film, and it had a great collection of people. Here's just some of the people that had in it. Mostly great comedians from that era: Jonathan Winters, Mickey Rooney, Spencer Tracy, Sid Caesar, Milton Berle, Ethel Merman, Buddy Hackett, Edie Adams, Buster Keaton, Dorothy Provine, Jimmy Durante, and there were a lot of people that had very small cameos like Jerry Lewis. Phil Silvers is in it. Who else? Don Knotts was in it. Selma Diamond. Who remembers her? All kinds of really cool people. And I don't know. So I was very excited about seeing it. I don't have no idea how I missed seeing it all these years, but I may have seen part of it on TV way back in the early 70s sometimes, but I really don't remember. So I went, put down my $6, which is what they charge for retrospective movies at this theater, and went in with a very good attitude. And I lasted about 35, maybe 40 minutes before I walked out. So why did I walk out? It's kind of hard to pinpoint, but part of it was that I found the whole thing just not enjoyable. It wasn't up to my expectations because it was supposed to be funny, and I didn't find myself laughing at anything. You know, I had all these great comedians interacting with each other, bouncing dialogue back and forth, and I thought I should be laughing my ass off, and I wasn't. And the other thing was, at the beginning of the film, it started out as this extended road race, okay, car chase. I don't know if this was one of the first movies that did a car chase in American film history. Maybe it was, I'm not sure. And that might have been one of the reasons why people were so excited about it, because they did a really good job. The cinematography was great. It was in color, it was in widescreen. Produced and directed by Stanley Kramer, by the way. And it started out with this road race, several cars, a couple of trucks, lined up on a California highway through the mountains, and it had aerial photography, and it showed close-ups of what happened was these people were all driving along at sort of a normal pace, and here comes Jimmy Durante of all people, or was supposed to be Jimmy Durante in this car, at a fast pace and starting to trying to pass everybody when they were going around curves in the mountains. So it was really a tense situation. I mean, you could just feel yourself getting the excitement of what was happening. He was ended up running people off the road. I mean, going super fast, and he ended up running himself off the road and going down the side of a mountain. So all these people stopped and went down to see if he was still alive and see what was going on. And this character that Jimmy Durante was playing, he started telling them something about this big bunch of money that he had hidden somewhere, and he was giving people clues as to where it was right before he died. And I think the amount of money was $350,000, which was a big bunch of money in 1963. So all these people got this idea that they were all going to race each other and fight with each other, to get to this money. And I guess that's what the whole story was about. And there was supposedly a police investigation trying to get to these people or find out. I don't know. That was about the time when I started to lose interest, and I just there's just something about it that I don't know. I was just really disappointed, and I thought, well, okay, this is probably since this is considered to be a classic film, and if I'm someone who loves classic films, then I at least have an obligation, to my own self to be able to say I saw this film. I sat here and I watched the whole thing. Whether I liked it or not is not important. But for some reason, I just thought, I just can't sit here and waste my time being bored and irritated. So I just thought I would rather go home and watch YouTube than sit here and watch this movie. So I walked out. There was no question about trying to see if I could get my money back. I wouldn't do that. But I just because it was my choice to leave. And so that's what I did just a couple of weeks ago. So how many of you have had that kind of experience? I would really like to hear some of your stories if you'd like to chime in. Now, some of the other movies that I've walked out on, I'm trying to remember. The most recent was probably maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I saw a movie called The Ghastly Love of Johnny X. Has anybody heard of that movie? It was kind of a low budget, sort of a science fiction film done also as a retro themed film. It took place back in the 1950s. It was in black and white. And when I read about it, I thought it would be something I would truly enjoy. And I got there and I hated it. And I made that for about 45 minutes before I got up and left. Another film that I walked out on was Christopher Nolan's Inception. And I made that for about 30 minutes. And I think the reason I walked out of that one is because the special effects were so completely overwhelming that I wasn't interested in the story. I wasn't getting anything about why all this stuff was happening. And I'm not a huge special effects freak. I don't want to go see a movie just for the effects, just for the imagery. I think there has to be some kind of a coherent story going along with it. And I wasn't picking up on it, and I didn't want to stay. Now I have since picked up a low priced copy of Inception, and I've got it on the shelf. And because a lot of people, they communicated with me and said, you really need to give this another chance. So I have decided that I will give it another chance at some point. Haven't done it yet. And another film that I walked out on, this is way back in the 1990s, was a Woody Allen film called Deconstructing Harry, which Woody was starring in along with, oh my God, I can't remember now. It had Julia Louis-Dreyfus and, oh my God, this is terrible. Julia Louis-Dreyfus was in it. Amy Irving. I swear I can't remember who else was in it. And I don't remember that much about the movie, but I remember being offended by the way these people were acting and the way they were treating each other. And it seemed like such an ugly, negative way to spend an evening that I just got up and left. And I'm a big fan of Woody Allen. I like a lot of the things that he does. So I've been thinking recently that if I could find a copy of Deconstructing Harry that didn't cost too much, I might give that a second chance as well, because I really do like Woody Allen's films, and I collect as many of them as I can get. So anyway, so there have been other films I've walked out on over the years, a long time ago for a variety of reasons. But I just thought I would bring that up as a possible topic for discussion, for a chat. If anybody wants to join in this and see if we can compare stories, please do. I'd like to hear it. Take care.